Welcome to another piano lesson with Warren. My name is Warren McPherson, and this is the channel to be where you learn proven tips, advice, tricks about how to be a better gospel pianist. And when I talk about being a gospel pianist, I'm talking about whether you're playing contemporary Christian music, old school Christian music, modern Christian music. If you're a church musician that plays by ear and you want to get better, this is the place to hang out. Every week, every Wednesday, I release new tutorials. And while we're at that, it's the year 2020. Significant year, man. I just feel like, 2020, there's something significant about those numbers. And so I'm excited for a great year. We're going to be doing great things. But first, let's take a moment to just give thanks that we're here in a new year, new era, new decade, to change our lives, to do things better, to, try and achieve our goals. The goals that we didn't achieve in 2020, in 2019, now we have a chance to get those goals knocked out, to do things a little bit differently. And so let's give God thanks for that, because not a lot of people have the opportunity to do that. Some people's health has deteriorated. Some people sadly didn't make it over into the year 2020. I have a close friend that died in November. Won't get into that, but suffice to say, we're here and we should make the most out of the moment. I started this channel in 2014. Then I sort of abandoned it. Came back in 2016, more serious and enriched to teach tutorials online. And for the few years, all I focused on was the theory and the chords. And if I could just find a better way to explain this concept, then the viewers would understand and their piano playing would get better. But over the years, I realized that there's a huge sort of portion of growth and learning that I've been ignoring, and a lot of you guys have been ignoring as it relates to teaching. And so I want to shed some light on that for you guys today. Over the years, I have realized that the things we believe, the way we see the world, the way we see ourselves, has a huge impact on our growth. There's an old saying, belief kill and belief cure. What you believe has a huge power to change your life. And I know a lot of you guys are no stranger to belief, because most of us who are watching this channel are Christians. We play in church. It's all about faith. As Christians, our faith is centered on what we believe. And we live by that belief. We have faith that what we believe will carry us through life. So why don't we have the same belief and faith when it comes to piano playing? It's a lot of doubt. And you might not realize that you're one of those persons suffering from negative beliefs. And it keeps you grounded. It keeps you in one place. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you from growing. And you might think, man, if I could just learn some more chords, if I could just find this one online teacher that can explain to me what a tritone substitution is, then man, I'll be able to sound like Corey Henry on them keyboards. But doesn't matter how much searching you do, you realize that you're not breaking through. For some reason, you're not having that revelation. You're not seeing that explosion of growth. And you know why? It's because the issue isn't so much with the information. How to do this? What does this mean? How do I play this scale over this chord? That's not the problem. The problem stems from what we believe. Our mindset. What are the things we've been telling ourselves for the past decade that keeps us stuck? We told ourselves those things, whether consciously or subconsciously. We've told ourselves those things for so long, to the point where we can't distinguish whether or not it's true or false anymore. So today I want to talk to you guys about I call them my top 10 tips. Breakthrough tips. These are things that I have been practicing for the latter part of 15 years. Now, I didn't just magically come up with these things and then boom, turn my life around, turn my playing around. It's just things that I've adapted over the years. And so looking back, I wanted to pick 10 things that has really helped me to change the way I play, to change the way I think about what I can accomplish. And I want to share those goals with you today. If you implement these goals, if you embody these goals, I truly believe that 2020 can be the year that you have your musical growth explosion. But you got to implement these things, all right? So stay tuned for that. All right, now let's look at these 10 breakthrough tips. Tip number 1. And this is simple and obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people overlook it. You have to make time to practice. Growing on the piano won't happen by accident. It has to be deliberate actions taken over years and months and years. Practice. A lot of people, they binge watch YouTube videos. They probably watch 50 YouTube videos a week, but they never, ever take action. You can't just learn by osmosis or learn by just looking and never trying for yourself. No one ever learns that way. You have to take action, and we take action in the form of practicing. And I've spoken to a lot of you guys over the course of 2019, and a lot of you don't practice. And one of the biggest things, I'm going to call it excuse. One of the biggest excuse I get is I don't have time. Now, time is one of those things that it goes up and down. There are times when we're sort of crunch. We got something important going on, and so for like 2 weeks, we just got to hunker down and focus on that one thing. Or maybe it might be for a month, we kind of have to just take a step back from piano to focus on this one thing. It happens to everybody. Nobody has time all the time, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. No, there will be times that you need to step back. So when you say you don't have time, are you talking about you don't have time today, this week, this month? Or are you just saying, I have no time this year? If you're saying you have no time this year, I don't know. I don't believe that. So when you're saying you don't have time, you need to put that into some form of context, because there will be time that you need to step away from the keyboard to focus on more pressing matter. Might be health, might be family, might be work. But at some point, you got to come back. And so you need to make time. That's what I'm trying to get at. How important is this thing to you? How important is learning the piano? You got to place it on your ladder of importance, because if it's not important, then you can put it at the bottom and you can probably ignore the rest of this video. Skip to something else that is more entertaining. But if this is something you've been at for years, you're serious about it, you want to get a breakthrough, then you need to stop saying you don't have time. Figure out a way to create little blocks of time. You don't need hours and hours and hours in the day. You just need 20 minutes today, probably 15 tomorrow. Little by little, by little by little. It accumulates over time. And that's how you begin to see progress. You got to carve those time out. So that's tip number 1. You got to make time for practice. No exception. That's the only way you're going to implement all these things that you're learning. Tip number 2. And this is a big one. Mindset. We talked about that a little bit earlier. What you believe can kill you or cure you. What you believe can kill you or cure you. Belief kill, belief cure. What is your belief? What do you keep telling yourself? That you're not smart enough? That you're too old? You're just starting piano. You're too old. You see a kid 3 times your age or 3 times younger than you, crushing it, and you're going, Who am I kidding? You know, I'm 50 years old. What am I doing? That's a limiting belief. What are the beliefs you're telling yourself? Whatever those beliefs are, it's time to put those to the side. Bury them. Ignore that voice. You're not too old. You are smart enough. And you have enough time. You just got to create it. So the things you tell yourself are limiting belief. Learning the things that you don't know from beginner category doesn't mean you're starting over. This is a huge misconception that keeps folks avoiding the necessary work. But in reality, you will not be able to move forward until you work on the things that are holding you back. This is a big one I hear a lot in 2019. Oh, it's so stressful for me to go back. I mean, it's just, I think about going back and I feel depressed. And I had to sort of unpack this to figure out, what are they talking about when they say they don't want to go back? So for a lot of self-taught pianists, you've been playing piano for 5 years, you're self-taught. You're going to have bits and bits of information and knowledge on various topics, but they're sort of scattered like a puzzle. And you know, you need to sort of put those together so you can see the bigger picture. But before we put those together, we got to find the missing pieces also. Folks sort of interpret this as, I got to go back to beginner. And oh, it's going to be just too much work to start over. That's another misconception. It's a lie. You're not starting over. Learning the piano is not like running a marathon where you're 6 miles into your race and then someone tell you that, hey, you got to go back to the starting point because you're wearing the wrong outfit. You're wearing the wrong color, wrong shoes. This is not what that and that is not the same thing. Running a marathon is not the same as learning a piano. You're not going back. So if you can play, if you're already playing for your church, you can play some songs, you can play in a few keys, but you really don't know how to play your major scales. Learning your major scales is not going back to beginner. You're not going anywhere. You're improving on what you already know. Not because learning major scales is perceived as a beginner's task. That doesn't mean you're going back. It just means you're filling those gaps that you don't know. If you can play really good, but you can only play all of that stuff in one key, and in the rest of the keys, you only can play triads. Learning the rest of the keys doesn't mean you're going back to beginner. It means you're learning the other keys, which is adding on what you already know how to do. So instead of learning how to play in one key, you're going to learn how to play in 2 keys. The process might be a little slower, but it's not going back. You're adding. So for all of you who's be like, I don't want to go back and learn scales. I don't want to go back and learn arpeggios. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Switch that thought and think of, I am adding on what I already know how to do. It's a multiplication. It's addition. You're adding, not subtracting. When you think about going back to beginner, in your mind, you're telling yourself that you're subtracting, you're going back, as if you're unlearning everything you've already learned. You're not unlearning anything. You're adding. So it's important for you guys who are struggling. Don't ignore the things that you don't know, thinking by trying to learn those additional things, you're subtracting from where you already are. You're adding, all right? Mindset shift 2020. We got to get rid of those negative and false thought. Tip number 3. You don't need to know how to play everything at once. The world wasn't created in one day. It is okay to not know certain things. And it's also okay that some things are taking longer than expected. And so I get a lot of messages from folks who saying, man, I'm beginner. How long is it going to take me to get to advanced? Can you show me a few passing chords so I can sound advanced? You know, you're trying to rush the process. It is okay to be a beginner. we all start from a beginner. It is okay to only know how to play triads because you're a beginner. If you're an intermediate, it's okay to not know certain advanced skills. It's okay to say, I don't know that. And it's okay to say that and be comfortable within yourself. Not because you don't know it doesn't mean, oh, I got to learn it now. And if I learn this one thing now, then I'm going to be better. No. As good as I am as a pianist, there's still things that I don't know how to do. There's still things that I'm not that great at. And I'm okay with that. Some things I don't even care about learning. You know why? Because it's not important to the work that I'm doing as a musician. You know? And so there's a misconception that, oh, if you're playing in a church, you got to know all these chords and these reharms and these rootless voicings. But you don't. Yeah, they're cool. But that doesn't mean you need that to be able to play in church. You can play beautiful, soul-touching music without having to use one reharm chord. I've done it many times. And so you got to pace yourself. That's what I'm saying. Learn things slowly and make sure that you're learning them correctly. If you have the will to learn all of these things, you will. In time. Don't rush the process. It's more important that you're learning things correctly than rushing the process and then kind of have to redo the stuff. Just take your time. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the journey. You will get there. I promise you. So that's tip number 3. You don't have to know everything at once. And it's okay if certain things are taking longer. You know, so if you're like, I need to be able to play in all 12 keys, but it's taking longer than you anticipated, it is okay. There's no math and science to this thing. Everybody learns differently. And so when people ask me how long you think it's going to take me to master all 12 keys, I don't know. I can't predict that. And you shouldn't be thinking about how long it's going to take. You make it sound like this treacherous journey you're on. It's like, I just want to get off this road. How long it's going to take. Try to enjoy the fact that you're learning and you're seeing your skills getting better and better and better. Because you know what? Once you're on this musical road, you never get off. I've been doing this consistently for 17 years. And I'm still learning how to play better. I'm a better player today than I was 4 years ago. Even though I've mastered all my scales and chords and all that from years ago, I'm still growing because music is an art. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for doing things differently and approaching things from a different angle. And so if you constantly see things at this destination, beginning to end, you're not going to enjoy the process. And that's why people quit. Because they're saying, man, I've been playing 6 months and I can only do that, or I can't do that yet. Don't think about the end. Just think about the day-to-day. Try to enjoy that. Because if you can enjoy that, you'll be good to go. Tip number 4. If you don't have a plan and a structure, you're basically walking blind. There's no way to tell if you're doing the right things to make a difference, and there's no way to measure your progress. If you're not tracking and measuring, you can't tell if what you're doing is working. This is where you get my practice templates. People get frustrated that they're not making breakthroughs, they're not growing, because they have no structure, they have no plan. They just sit at the piano each day, mind blank, and they go, okay, what am I going to practice today? I don't know, I'm going to practice the song that I've been playing for the last 6 months. And they probably do that for 20 minutes and then they get up and they say, I've practiced. But no, you haven't. You kind of just regurgitated something you already know. Practicing has to be a deliberately planned action. And then you need to be able to monitor your growth to see, okay, I've been doing this task for 3 months. Let's see how good I have gotten. I have created a beautiful practice template. For those of you who don't have it, click the link in the description of the video. and you'll see it. Download the practice template. I map out for you a 6-day plan. A 6-day plan that you can then repeat each week. That helps you to monitor your progress, to see how you're growing. 6 months ago, I couldn't play in these 3 keys. Now I can. That's progress. That's growth. You're able to measure it, map it. The good thing about that also, you get to see how long it takes you to learn certain tasks. So then you can start anticipate to say, it's going to take me approximately this long to learn that, because you have a sort of roadmap in place that you've been following, and you see how you learn. You see where your struggles are. You see things that you can put aside now because you can do it fairly well. Having a plan and a structure is crucial for growth. You know, a lot of people ask me, Warren, do I need to go to music school if I want to get good? No, you don't have to go to music school. But one of the perks for me, having spent 8 years in university, is the structure and the planning. Every day you know what classes you're supposed to attend, what assignments you need to be working on. You have your teacher that you're working on with different various pieces. You know when your exams are, you know what to prepare, what scales to work on. Plan and structure. And so at the end of 4 years, I could see my growth as a musician. Now, this is what I'm trying to help replicate for you guys who are learning this thing on your own, who are not in a school environment. You don't need a school to be able to become a very good pianist, but you absolutely need structure, process to be able to measure what you're doing, things that you can replicate, a system. The good news is you don't have to try to figure out that on your own. My practice templates, free for download, are available in the description. Check that out and then make that your second Bible. Make that your second Bible. Follow it. Don't just download it and watch it and be like, all right, that sounds cool. Yeah, I'll probably try it at some point. No. Forget what you think you know and implement this template. I guarantee you, it'll make a difference for you. Tip number 5, make ear training a priority. It is the single most crucial skill for learning to play by ear. A lot of you who are struggling, you might say, Warren, I practice all my scales, I practice all my chords, I watch your videos, I'm using your practice template. Why am I not making progress? Have you been doing the ear training? Remember, what we do here is learning how to play gospel music by ear, not by sheet music. There's a reason why I don't even teach sheet music on this channel. I'm not saying it's not important to read music. It's a great skill to have. But if you want to learn how to play by ear, learning how to read music is not going to help with that. It's a whole different animal. Learning how to play by ear is being able to hear things and analyze it simply by orally. Tell intervals, to tell what chord was just played, to tell the progression of a song, to be able to hear the bass line and replicate it back on the keyboard. All of that is playing by ear, but that's not something you just get up and start doing after a week. There's a process. Everything has a process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. What do I do? What do I need to work on? And if this is something you're seriously struggling with, then I got you. PianoLessonWithWarren.com, I have a great course on ear training. Released it last year, and there's going to be more sequels to follow up to that. But it's a great place to start because I lay out to you the things that I have been doing when I was a student, the same things that I learned in university, the tips, the techniques, and I lay it out in a systematic order that will help you to begin to start to analyze music, to be able to hear certain notes. It's a building block process to get to the place where you can listen and go, oh, that's a minor 7 flat 5 chord right there going to an altered dominant. Oh, yeah, you know. When you hear we talk about that fancy stuff, it's not something we just wake up and be able to do even within a year. It takes time. It takes practice. It takes patience. But to me, the ear training is one of the single most important skill. Doesn't matter how well you can play your chords and your scale. If you haven't been making ear training a priority, you're going to continue to hit that roadblock and be like, why can't I? And this might be your secret key to unlocking your growth. Ear training. Make ear training a priority. Tip number 6. Learn at least one new song every week and learn it in its original key. Doesn't have to be the entire song. A lot of people say, Warren, how do I learn how to play in all 12 keys? How do I improve my chord progressions? How do I improve my voicing? You do that through Repertoire. Now at this point, I have about, let me see, we got the 12-week beginner, we got the 7 chords, 12-week, we got the soul chords, we got the fat chords, we got the altered extended chords, and we got the rootless voicing. Those are 6, that's 6 different courses I've released on chords. So how do you improve? How do you learn how to play in other keys? How do you improve your chords? 2 things. You get one of these 6 courses based on your skill level, and you start to practice progressions. This teaches you, reteach you how to play chords properly, the way that we play them. So you're learning those different chord progressions, and then step 2 to that is you're learning one new song each week, and you're learning that song in its original key. Don't transpose it. Once you start to learn songs in its original key, you're going to slowly realize that your fear of learning different keys sort of just fall away, because you start to see the patterns in the different keys. The problem why people get stuck in one key is because they've started out in one key, and so everything they learn, everything new that they learn, they keep learning in that same key. They're forcing it in that one key. The best way to break out of that habit is to learn the song in its original key. Then you get to implement those chord progression practice in actual songs. So you're going to be sort of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're learning chords, you're learning voicings, and you're learning songs. You're learning repertoire. You're broadening your repertoire. So then you start to see more patterns. You start to utilize chords in different ways. And you're also subconsciously improving your ear training. So those are the 2 main tips for getting out of the, I can only play in 1 key or 2 key, and I need to improve my chord voicings. For you guys who are saying, I can play comfortably in all 12 keys, but, I'm struggling with the 9th chords and the 13th and those altered dominants. I'm not sure how to use them. I got courses on all of that. And I have song breakdown tutorials that incorporate those things. So it's the same concept whether you're a beginner or whether you're more intermediate trying to get to advanced using those chords. It's the same thing. Chord progression practice and repertoire. 1 new song every week. Again, you don't have to learn the entire song. If you can learn the entire song, that's great. But if this is a new thing for you and you find it difficult to try to knock out 1 song in a week, then just learn what you can. If you can only learn a verse and a chorus, then do that. And then move on the next week to a new song. At this stage, you want to build up that repertoire. That's how you start to see the patterns, hear the patterns. That's how you start to build up the necessary muscle memory for chord memorization, the kinesthetic ability. Many things can come from this one exercise. Tip number 7, start practicing with drum patterns. This helps to make your groove and your timing better. For folks who are struggling with time, get some drum patterns. You notice I didn't even say metronome. Metronome stuff is kind of old school. If the only thing you have your hands on is a metronome, then use it. But try as hard as possible to start using actual drum patterns. At this point, there are a lot of apps, free apps that you can download and, just find little drum patterns that you can jam with. It helps to improve your internal timing with rhythm, which is very important. Whether you're playing in a band or you're doing solo piano, timing and rhythm, this thing we call the pocket, being able to play in that pocket, very important. And the only way you get better at that is by practicing how to get better at that. So 2020, start incorporating some drum patterns and beats in your playing. Tip number 8, stop ignoring scales, arpeggios, and blocked and broken chords. Your technique is your musical vehicle. Without it, you won't be able to do anything substantial on the piano. So I know we're in this sort of world as a gospel musician where all people talk about is chords. Cool chords, cool reharm, cool passing chords, and substitutions and all that. Chords. Chords are great, but they're only a fraction of what it takes to be a good pianist. You got to build your technique. Imagine trying to run a 5K, but you've never run a 5K before. How difficult you think that 5K journey is going to be, and what's going to be your chance of completing that race if you've never built up to it. So when folks talk about, man, how your right hand can run so fast, some licks, all those licks and runs and little stuff. Well, part of that stems from technique. I've invested years in learning all my major scales, minor scales, blues scale, pentatonic scale, and modes. Arpeggios, broken chords. I've invested not days, not weeks, years. Those are the building block, something that I continue to practice to this day. You can't ignore them. People say, but what's the benefit? There's so many benefits, it would take another tutorial for me to list all of that. Just know that it's something you should be doing and doing regularly. If you're a beginner, it should be part of your daily practicing, period. Because we're training muscles here to respond at will, almost second nature. Again, that's not something that comes overnight. So stop ignoring the technical side of piano playing. Focus on your technique, all right? Tip number 9, how is your health? If you find you don't have energy, make sure you're consuming healthy food and doing regular exercise. If you don't have the energy, then you'll be tired to practice. You'll be too tired to practice, which is the most important thing. I touched on this in a live stream in 2019. Now, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a health coach. I'm just telling you things that helps me in my life. Everything I preach on this channel, it's things that I have tried and it worked for me. And I've not done this deliberately, but it happens to me a few times every year. I fell off the wagon. I start eating just whatever I want. I don't exercise. And every time I fall into that trap, after a few months, my body just turned on me. I just feel like I'm tired all the time, and I need a coffee. I don't have energy. I don't want to do that. My brain gets cloudy. I can't think. I can't focus. I can't create. And it all stems from the fact that I'm eating garbage and I'm not exercising. Now, this is something that's going to be different for everybody. And that's why I'm not telling you, oh, you need to eat that and eat this, and don't eat that and don't eat this. I'm not going to go down that road. Because everybody's genetic makeup is a little different. Everybody's lifestyle is different. Everybody has a different tolerance level. So you got to figure out that for yourself. So you got to take a step back and say, what does healthy eating look like for me? That's going to be different for everybody. And start to make little changes. You don't have to go and empty out your cupboard today and load it with new stuff. Just start to make little changes. I'm a big meat guy. A lot of you guys probably can't tell from looking at the camera, but I weigh about 250 and I'm 6'1". So a lot of people say, were you a football player? You look like a quarterback. I'm a big guy. But that's more genetic. I never did football. I was born and raised in Jamaica. We did track and soccer and cricket. That's the stuff we play. But anyway, I like meat. I like rice. I like potato. I'm a Caribbean guy. That's my thing. I don't like vegetables. And I'm telling you this straight. I don't. Never did. But as an adult, I have grown to appreciate and understand the importance of vegetables to your body. So one of the things that I do to make sure I'm consuming my veggies, I juice. Juice broccoli, carrot, spinach, celery, grapes, whatever I can get my hands, fruits and vegetables. I juice those in the morning, and that's how I get my fill. And then I make sure that I exercise in the morning. Sometimes I might walk a few miles, or I might go to the gym, depending on what I have going on. But even if I just walk 1 mile in the morning and get some juice, my entire day feels differently. All of a sudden I have energy. I feel alive. I feel clear-headed. I can focus. I can concentrate. I no longer feel like I need a coffee, and I can get the things done that I need to get done. So if you're one of those folks that you're struggling with the energy, you come home from work and you're like, I can't practice. Or you wake up in the morning and you feel like you want to go back to bed because somehow you just don't feel like you got enough sleep. I would say just start to check what you're eating and make sure that you're getting some exercising in. It will change the way you feel. It will. You won't believe that you now have this much amount of energy throughout the day. It's mind-blowing. So try that. And the last tip I want to leave with you guys for today, tip number 10, is to be patient with yourself. We all learn differently and at a different pace because we all have different strengths and weaknesses. Don't compare yourself with others. Be patient, be consistent, and be persistent. As I mentioned earlier, this road that we're on, trying to be a great pianist, it's not a short journey. It's not something where you jump on and be like, boom, 2 years, I'm good, I can jump off. It's a lifestyle. You have to start looking at piano playing as a lifestyle, something I do. I got buddies who are athletes. They're in their 40s, but they're still athletes. These guys have been playing soccer and lacrosse and whatever it is, basketball from their teens. They're older guys. They still do it. For them, sports is a lifestyle. It's something they do. You need to start seeing the music as that. The piano, it's a lifestyle. I practice every day. I might miss a few days. Hey, I might even miss a few weeks. But I come back eventually, and I pick up where I left off, and I just keep grinding. It's a lifestyle. And once you start looking at it this way, you're going to realize that all the things that you've been wanting to be able to do, you're going to wake up one morning and be like, oh, shoot, I can do this. When did I learn how to play in all 12 keys? When did I learn how to use all these fancy chords? You kind of stop watching the clock count down, and you just put in the work. Like I said, I've been at this 17 years. And when I say 17 years, I'm like, wow, that's actually a long time. But to me, it just felt like yesterday. Because I stopped counting, how much of this I can do, how many songs I know. I don't even know how many songs I know. All I know a lot. And even songs I don't know. Someone starts singing a song and I start just hearing the chords, even though I've never heard the song before. Now, when did I learn how to do that? I don't know. But that's because I don't think about those things. I just work on things that I don't know how to do till I know how to do it. Be patient with yourself. Stop beating up yourself. Quitting is not an option. So forget about quitting. Because you know what? I've seen so many people say, this is not working out for me. I'm going to quit. And then 2 years later, they get that fire again and they come back. But you just wasted 2 years. Imagine if you just hung in there. And so this quitting and start, you're doing yourself a disservice. It's not helping you. Be patient with yourself. Do what you can. Stop comparing yourself with others. Everybody has a different story. Everybody has different skills. So when you see someone who's playing stuff that you can't play yet, be grateful for that person. Use that as motivation. Be like, you know what? I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to go home tonight. I'm going to practice. You know, if being a professional musician, I can't tell you how many guys I've come across, man, that just blew my mind. Even guys that are younger than me. But if I were to look at all those things over the years and use it as discouragement, as a reason to give up, I wouldn't be sitting right here in front of you today telling you to continue. I use all of those opportunities as moments to inspire me, to invigorate me, to give me a reason to move quick, to continue. All of you who's watching this video today has what it takes to be a great gospel pianist. You do. But you first have to believe it. Then you secondly have to start acting on it. Music is an acting thing. You engage, you do. It's not something you sit on the sidelines and you just binge watch a few YouTube videos and then just think that's going to make a difference. Nope, it won't. You could watch 100,000 YouTube videos for the year of 2020. If you don't make time to practice and implement those things that you're watching, 2020 is going to come to a close and you're going to be the same place. Got to take action, guys. Got to take action. 2020 is the year of breakthrough. I'm going to be here with y'all to cheer you on from the sideline, to encourage you. I'm going to be providing you with the best tutorials I can, both on YouTube and on the website. For those of you who are part of my membership, you know that's where my gold is. I pour everything I can over there for you guys so you can get better. I'm constantly improving the system. Your mindset. Change your mindset, you change your life. This is not some woo thing, I'm telling you. I'm just a little guy from the country of Jamaica. I grew up in the country of rural Jamaica. I didn't know 2020 I'll be sitting here talking to 83,000 subscribers. Didn't know that. But I never let my belief kept me back. I'm constantly trying to change my belief, the things I believe to be true. Change your belief, you change your life. All right? It's so great to be back with you guys here. 2020, that's what I have for you guys today. Every Wednesday, I'm going to be coming out with more tutorials. I'm going to be coming out with more tips. I'm going to be trying to do some YouTube collaboration. Just give you guys all the tools, the fuel, the inspiration, and the technique, theory, chords, everything you need so you can have your breakthrough. If 2019 left you feeling like, man, I didn't accomplish much, it's okay. 2020, I got you. All right? So thanks again for watching. Please share this video on all social platforms, not just YouTube. Hey, I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook. I got a Facebook group over there. You know, I'm everywhere. So feel free to share, to tag someone who you know this video is going to inspire. And if you're new to the channel, of course, please give me a like and a subscribe so you can continue to receive great content, inspirational videos like these. All right. And for my returning folks, my diehards fan who have been with me for years, hey, just know that I love you, my brothers and my sisters. Continue to support the channel. I really do appreciate it. And as long as the Lord gives me health, strength, and breath, I will continue to share my knowledge with y'all. All right. So see you next week for more awesome content. Have a wonderful week.